Happy peeps, Suzanna here today for SpiegelMom Scraps, and if you use the code Suzanna with a Z 15, you can save 15% off when you shop over at the store. This is the layout that I created, and I used one of the new collections. It's called Pick Your Plum or Mixes, and this collection matches absolutely perfectly with the Maggie Holmes Willow Lane collection, and that's what I'm using, this collection from the Scraproom, to get this layout done. So I used a digital cut file. I believe it has a book with it, but I didn't want that book. I wanted a different book. And I cut that out, and I'm going to back the negative of the file with some of the pattern papers from the collection. So I'm going to alternate yellows and blues and pinks, and I'm going to try and put the pattern papers in the cursive words or the emphasis words, and then the non-cursive words, the script words, I am going to back with just some coordinating cardstock. The kits do come with cardstock, but I used the coordinating cardstock, which is that navy, to cut the books out, and I am using just pattern paper from my, not pattern paper, I'm sorry, cardstock from my stash to back the other words. So I actually struggled with this a little bit, finding, because the pattern papers were actually really busy, like that one there, it was really hard to read the words through the busy pattern papers, and I didn't have a lot of sort of the more solid B-sides to use. And so figuring out how I was going to make my stash last was just a little bit mind-numbing for me, but I got it done, and actually it really shouldn't have been as hard as it was. I think I've been on vacation, and a lot of the projects that I've posted recently I completed before I went on vacation, and sometimes just finding that groove and getting back into the groove of scrapbooking can be a little bit difficult sometimes. So it was nice to have these cut files because it made easy work of the layout per se. Really, all I had to do was coordinate papers. And so I'm continuing to work on matching colors here. Now, there is a green that is in this collection, but I didn't have any of the green pattern papers. So where I would have really liked to have used that green down in hands, I'm going to use an off shade of pink. It's kind of more of a peachy color, and there isn't a huge amount of contrast between that pink and the peach, but you do see it in the close-ups, and it's a little bit more noticeable there. So I also used a book cut file. That is another cut file that is from the Silhouette store. It's a separate cut file. That is actually a Paige Evans digital cut file that I used. I toyed with putting it sideways against the quote. I also toyed with backing the file, but the problem with backing the file is then there were so many colors, and you had the books that were going vertical and you had the words that were going horizontal, so the movement in the page became sort of competitive. You didn't really know where to look because there was so much going on the page. So that's why I kept the cut file just plain as it was, and it was kind of more of a background to the photo that I used. So this photo is of my daughter at a swim meet reading a book. She is an avid reader, and no matter where we go, what we're doing, she has a book with her, and she would much rather be reading the book than doing whatever it is that we should be doing. That's not always true, but she does like to read. She's a very avid reader, and to her, this quote is absolutely perfect. So that's what this picture is. So this is that sort of pink color that I've pulled from my stash that complements, that I'm just going to back the whole thing with. By doing this, I was also able to take all of the rough edges out of those cut papers, and so when I slide it into my layout into a page protector, it won't be quite, I don't have to worry about anything catching on the page protector. So I want to put another vertical strip down the left-hand side of the page there, something that just kind of is going to ground that layout a little bit. And I toyed with that green, but you can see how that is literally going to be the only green in the layout, which kind of stands out like a sore thumb to me. And so I decided to change my mind on that I toyed with just the green, and then I saw the pink and I was like, yes, the pink, because that way I'm not bringing another color into the layout that serves no purpose whatsoever. So I left that little scallop hand-drawn edge on it, but it ended up being hidden behind the book edge. So I just trimmed off a hair of the pink there so that you can still see that fine scallop edge, and it's resting right next to the edge of the book once I put that down. So these are actually pretty fine cuts, and so I'm just putting a really thin bead of my Scotch Quick Dry adhesive that's in the fine line bottle to adhere these down. They're just going to go straight down on the white cardstock in order to provide a little bit of a backing to those photos there. So you can see how that edge, that left-hand edge of the book, just butts right up to the hand-drawn scallop there. That looks pretty cool. So I had fussy cut some butterflies before I started filming. I did save one butterfly, the large butterfly. No, I didn't. I think I had to, for time's sake, I took that out of the video, but I did fussy cut those out of pattern paper. And now I'm going to back the photo. I liked the photo just plain with that white border around it, but I wanted to incorporate a little bit more color into that left-hand side of the page. So I'm going to just use two simple backings, one on the left half or 2/3 and then the other on the right 2/3 with the overlap in the middle to just add just a little bit of color to the photo and bring more of those colors to that left hand side. And that's what that's going to look like there. So you can see the idea of the books, but I do cover up a good chunk of the books there. So I have half of a sticker sheet here, and I love what this says. And unfortunately, I don't have it in front of me. Hold on one second. So the quote on that sticker there with the yellow says, "Days spent with you are my favorite." And so what I did there was I crossed out you and I put books, because this child will, any day with a book is a good day. And so I thought that was fitting for this photo and for what the sentiment that I wanted to convey in this photo is. I have a doily here that is from Pretty Little Studio. And initially I have all of these embellishments clustered on the left-hand side, but I like it. And there's a part of me that wishes that I had left them there on the left-hand side, but I felt like I needed something in that top right-hand corner of the layout. It just felt like there was a lot of empty space up there, and I like white space. Those of you who know me and know my scrapping know that I like white space. So it just needed something, and so that sticker was perfect because it wasn't a solid something. There's a lot of white in it, and that's why I put that up there, which then I wanted that other circle with the pink to balance out that circle in the top right corner there, and so that's why I moved and shifted things over to the right side there. So I'm going to commit to those and adhere them down. And then the butterflies, I just put adhesive, the liquid glue in the middle so that those wings can kind of pop up off the page when it's not in a page protector. And I felt like I had two really, really glaring yellow elements and that I needed to have a third yellow element in there. So I'm going to put that little yellow pair just tucked behind that butterfly there, and you don't see it, it's not really obvious, but it just wraps up that trio of three yellow things that draws your eye around the page. It serves no purpose whatsoever, which kind of drives me crazy, but I'm going to live with it. And then I put a few other stickers again just for embellishment to the page. And to my finishing touch are these sequins from SpiegelMom Scraps. It's called Pick Your Plum. It is one of the new collections from August, and I'm telling you, it is literally the perfect match for this Maggie Holmes collection. And so I'm just going to put a sprinkling of those around the page for a little bit of sparkle, just a little bit of fun, and because I can. And I'm going to use my typical method of sequence application and put a dot of glue down, pick up the sequence with the end of the fine tip applicator and then drop that sequence down on top of that glue dot. And that is how I typically adhere sequins. So that is my layout. I hope you enjoyed the process video. If you have any questions, as always, please don't hesitate to leave them in the box down below. I thank you for joining me today. I hope you're doing well, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Take care.